know who your teacher is?
39-year-old Brian Stokes, father of 3 and a suburban Chicago firefighter, left home on December 7, 2011 for a routine racquetball game. One of those random days that alters life forever.
I remember feeling absolutely exhausted. I remember him saying, "All right, let's go play another game." And I remember going into the racquetball court, and I remember, I guess, playing the first point.
Within 30 seconds, Brian was falling to his knees. I caught Brian before his head hit the ground, and I'm talking to him, but he is not responding.
My first thought was I was dead, you know, so what's going on? And I'm thinking, am I dreaming?
Got on top of him and started CPR. I didn't know if he was going to make it.
Firefighter Medic 33, what is the emergency? Well, we have a gentleman here that needs help, and he's not breathing yet. He's not breathing, and we're trying to pump him, but he's
As soon as we got the AED bag on Brian, it takes over and starts talking and assisting you.
Stand clear. Push to shock.
The next thing I knew, someone was tapping me on the shoulder and saying, "Emergency relief is here."
He was not breathing, no pulse. We shocked him, and then within a minute or so, he started to try to get up.
He almost tried to get up off the cot when we had him in the back of the ambulance. So it was a little shocking that this patient who was not breathing and unresponsive is now attempting to get up and continue on with his activities.
Everything had to happen the way it did so he could see his 3 girls grow up. That was very emotional to be a part of that.
Brian's friends and those bystanders who chose to get involved, chose to get the AED and apply it and do CPR are the true heroes.
Stokes had suffered an electrical disturbance called a ventricular fibrillation, and he was fitted with an implantable defibrillator to regulate his heartbeat. Firemen wearing a defibrillator are not permitted to return to fire suppression because the physical exertion of their duties greatly increases the risk of another cardiac event. Stokes was told he could not return to his original job as a firefighter. But what if the condition occurs only once, and the patient believes he is perfectly healthy?
And I went to the doctor, and right away he walks in and he goes, "You're not going back? You got to find a new profession." I felt like crying. I never worked harder for anything in my life. For 4 years it took me to get on a fire department. I started pleading with him and to listen, and he just wouldn't have it. So I walked out of there. I felt like I got kicked in the gut.
A physician could have a heart attack or get a defibrillator and still have his job. So they may not understand that when they say that to somebody, that it completely destroys their life.
Brian Stokes' desire to return to the front lines of his Chicago area fire department requires a paradigm shift in traditional thinking. The question is whether it is safe for firefighters who have had a major cardiovascular event to safely resume unrestricted, full-duty work.
We've always taken the stand that patients can do much more with all their device therapy than they perhaps have been permitted in the past. So pacemaker patients that require an implantable defibrillator can typically do a lot more than they let them.
But that's the controversy. It's his job that is the concern. If Brian were an administrative assistant at an office, if Brian were a banker, there'd be no concerns. He's a firefighter, so his firefighter teammates have to be able to count on him. If he did have an event and the defibrillator went off, would he be able to still keep going?
No one disputes that public safety comes first. Having healthy, well-trained firemen is a given in our society. But are the standards and codes fair that prevent firemen with implantable defibrillators from resuming full-time duty? The first step is cardiac rehabilitation and assessment. The Baylor Hamilton Heart and Vascular Hospital has a unique one-of-a-kind specificity training approach designed for industrial athletes who have physically demanding jobs.
My wife started looking online for some alternatives.
Hello. Hi. Hello, Mrs. Stokes.
She found this Baylor program. And it was the only program in the country that specialized in firemen with cardiac problems getting back to work.
So I just run a couple tests here to make sure that everything's working.
I'm not aware of any other lab that exists like this dedicated to rehabilitation of industrial athletes in the country.
Fine, everything looks great.
So tell me about the meets that they...
The Return to Work Lab will rehabilitate Brian with the same tasks required of his job under medical supervision using a training program that mimics his daily duties.
There you go. Get up on that treadmill and straddle it for me. Feeling okay? Go. Come on. Okay, that's good.
We simulate hurdling, heavy lifting, upstairs, up ladders. They are working here in the Return to Work Lab at a higher level than is what is seen in traditional cardiac rehab programs.
All right, we're gonna go to...
Over 6 weeks, Brian Stokes performed at the highest levels of exertion during a variety of simulated training. While it's impossible to fully replicate the heat and emotional intensity of a real life-threatening event, he was able to work consistently at an elite level. Exercise intensity is measured by METs, with 6 considered moderate exercise. According to the New England Journal of Medicine, the standard for firemen to perform essential duties is 12 METs, sustained for a minimum of 15 consecutive minutes. Stokes far exceeded that benchmark.
You're the man. My first thought on the very first day, when he was level 16 on the treadmill and he only needed to be a 14, was, am I doing the right thing? You about done? Okay. I'm thinking, man, he's already 16 METs. Am I doing the right thing? Ready? 1, 2, 3. This man is a physical specimen. He can do more than is expected from him, but still his confidence was shaken a little bit in that racquetball game.
Not only did his defibrillator never go off, Stokes may be in better shape than most firefighters currently on the job. A 2011 study found that more than 1/3 of active firefighters have aerobic capacities of less than 12 METs.
So I know what I've got with Brian. I don't know what I have with this person over here who could be overweight and have risk factors and could be a ticking time bomb right there.
Doctors can say what we want to say. In the end, if there's a regulatory agency involved with a strict guideline about who can and who cannot go back to work, then that's something that we're fighting against. We don't have a study of patients like Brian who have had an event, had a defibrillator placed, and then gone back to work.
Which one do you want to go on?
The tiger one.
The tiger?
That's why we're here in the Return to Work Lab trying to simulate things as close as we can to see if there are any events, and if there are not, then we can say that we think that he can do his job safely.
Daddy's fire truck. There's Daddy's fire truck.
Brian's experience is an example of what we do for each and every patient here. Our goal is to return each patient to the lifestyle that they were living, and hopefully even a step above that. 100% care for 100% of the patient, 100% of the time is what we're about.
I'm not really thinking about all the other people in the world right now. I'm just thinking about him, but if I just help him, then that's one more, you know?
Want to put the boots on? As a kid, I always dreamed about being a fireman. Just a fire jacket. I never worked so hard for anything in my life, and I finally got it. It comes down if we fight every fight we can, if we exhaust every outlet we have of me getting back on, and the answer is still no, I can live with it because I know that I did everything I possibly could to prove to get back on, and it's out of my hands.
Brian Stokes continues to seek approval to return to his job as a suburban Chicago firefighter. He is strengthened by the results that he achieved at Baylor's innovative return-to-work lab. It is here where industrial athletes, police, and firemen learn to fight again.
I'm confident that nothing's going to happen. I know if I do get back on full time and I am in the fire, I won't be thinking about my heart at all, because I know my limits are endless.